Welcome to Momentum Investing, property investing made easy. One of the world's top podcasts on property investing, bringing you the top experts in the field so you can learn firsthand what it takes to create passive income and take control over your financial future.
Hi, my name is Lukas. I'm one of the founders of Momentum Property Education and also your today's host in Momentum Investing podcast. Today, we'll be taking a trip to Switzerland. We've been to the UK, we've been to the US, now we're going to Switzerland. And there's a reason for this. So, do you know that right now there are people in Europe who are trading castles? Yes, you heard right, castles. So people who are actually flipping castles and very expensive, huge mansions in the middle of beautiful Switzerland. It's more like a bit of a like James Bond scenery. Today, we're going to be talking to Guy Freiburghaus, who is a sourcing agent who specializes in selling deals, selling properties to ultra high net worth individuals, namely billionaires. And in this episode, we'll have plenty of interesting topics covered. We'll be talking about what kind of investment is a mansion or a castle, how different it is from a normal, regular house that you or me are investing in probably. We'll be also talking about billionaires, who they are, okay? What kind of traits they have, how it is to work with those people, and also how to get into those kind of networks so that you can start getting maybe investors for your future investments. And also, we'll talk a bit also in the end of the episode, we'll be also talking a bit about branding. So how to brand yourself in order to be able to get into networks like this. So there'll be plenty of good takeaways from this episode. I'm super excited about inviting our guest. So welcome to today's episode. Welcome to the next episode of our podcast. Today I'm super excited to introduce Guy Freiburghaus, who is a property expert in Switzerland. And Guy has made a fantastic, a very exciting journey from being a finance manager for a huge law firm in Switzerland, and he has over 30 years of experience in that business. Then he quit corporate and he moved to the solopreneur career and coaching and investing in real estate, in properties. But there's a very special thing about property investing that the aspect of property investing that he works with. And he found a fantastic niche that I would like to invite Guy to talk about today. So without any more words, Guy, the floor is yours. Can you tell more about yourself? What's your story?
Yes, hi Lukas. Hi everybody. Yes, I have worked as a finance manager for the last 15 years, I would say, but I decided to leave corporate 5 years ago. And then I went to follow some education, in England about real estate, in the United States also about coaching. So I surrounded myself with experts, and I went to see what could I do, to start my own business. Because being a finance manager, you manage, things of other people or the money of other people and everything that goes with the business. But of course, you don't create your own network. You don't have your own products. So it's quite a big deal, to live, especially when you have a family, you have a kid, and so it takes some steps, and you need, of course, to get ready and to get also the money you need to start. And of course, as a finance manager, you understand a little bit the importance of cash flow and all of this. So, and I launched my own business in May 2017, and right away I had. Sometimes we need to be a bit lucky. But we say also, to be lucky, you need to have some expertise and then to meet the right situation and then We call that chance, but it's a lot of work before. And so I've been asked by a billionaire to take care of the financial situation of someone who was very close to this billionaire. And that's what I did. I found a solution. There was a big, let's say, a big problem with finance. It's something interesting for you guys because this guy invested in a property, but 1 month later, he wanted to resell this property. So
to flip it.
To flip it, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem in Switzerland is different with the UK market, or are different from many other markets. You cannot cancel a mortgage without penalty, and the penalty is very big. So he signed up for a mortgage. It was not a very big one. It was like 1 million or something like this, but he had like 200,000 Swiss francs penalties for quitting the deal after 1 month. Okay. Plus, it was a bit more the mortgage, but it doesn't. Okay. And plus, the second problem was that he bought his apartment for over 2 million, and people were ready to rebuy it for like 1.5. So he was losing plus 500,000, so 700,000. So he was a bit depressed. And so this rich client asked me if I could do something with this. So I met this guy. We solved the problem with the money issue within 3 days. It was just amazing. And then I had to solve is a very nice attic apartment, beautiful, in a very nice city by the lake and everything. And I found a buyer within 1 month. And so he bought he paid for the apartment plus the penalty. So that was just perfect. And so after this result, this millionaire said, yes, then maybe you could take care of my own properties. And that's what I do for the last 3 years. So it is a mandate. I'm not working, I'm not an employee, I'm like a consultant. I'm not working full time, it is mandate. So I'm charging per hour, but I'm charging quite a nice amount of money. And so we keep working together we've been working together for the last 3 years. Doing this, of course, I had to see and to visit very high-end properties on the shore of Lake Geneva. So I think that I visited not all of them, but maybe, I don't know, more than 50% of them. And some of those properties were over 100 million Swiss francs. That means over 100 million euros. It is 160 million. So it is over 100,000 or whatever you want, okay? 100 million, I mean. So, so I started to work with that kind of properties. And that means also those properties are owned by very high-end clients. So when you visit one of those properties, of course, you meet the owner most of the time. And then, of course, you grow your network, and at some point you can try to resell something to someone you met before. And so it's a kind of a good business. That's one part of my my business. The second part is working with that kind of people. And at some point, people are offering commercial deals. So when we talk about commercial deals, it is like a very big real estate office, you know. So I started also to sell a very big real estate office, like the most expensive or the more, yes, is a 650 million Swiss francs. That's what I'm trying to sell right now, with another one at 450 million. So it is just with 2 deals over 1 billion in selling. So that's big numbers. And for this,
I can imagine you can do one or two of those deals a year, and you're pretty good.
Yeah, just one, and you can go on retirement. Yes. And then, of course, we need to work with network. So I grow my network, and now I'm almost every day I receive a couple of deals, like 100. I have people who don't want to be disturbed for less than 100 millions. Okay, just to give you a broad idea. So that's why it is an interesting market, and that's why I focused on Swiss market.
Mm-hmm.
The second reason also is because of currency. Swiss francs is still very nice currency. It is strong.
Mm-hmm.
So we always expect, so, and we have people from almost everywhere in the world, coming to Switzerland to invest. So just also to invest in Switzerland, they are, if it is commercial, anybody can come to Switzerland and buy a property, but it has to be 100% commercial.
Mm-hmm.
But anybody can invest in Switzerland. And if it is with rentals, for family and things like this, then you can still invest in Switzerland, but then you will need to have a company and a Swiss director, or at least someone in the board that will be Swiss for real estate. It's not the case for if you want to open a company just for business, so you don't. It's a bit different, but. Okay.
And we know because we opened one company together in Switzerland.
That because you opened a company here in Switzerland. Yes, absolutely.
So it's really interesting to listen to your story, because there's an old saying that you have to help enough number of people to get wealthy. Like, looking at your story, it's not necessarily helping that many people, but helping the right people, right? And then you start to build your network, and you sort of grow in this network, in this business.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. You started talking about slightly a bit about strategies. You mentioned those big villas, those big mansions, I would say, around Geneva Lake. Then you also talked about commercial deals. So how does the market look like, more or less, in Switzerland? Because obviously, like, everybody think when at least most of the people think about Switzerland, they think about wealth. I know that you also work with some like big insurance companies that will then invest in commercial deals. So can you just like give us an overview of what kind of strategies work in Switzerland, and what is the most lucrative sort of section of that market?
We have what we call institutional, like a big insurance company and pension funds and things like this. So they need to invest. They need they cash hundreds of millions per year, and they need to invest this money. So they are always looking after good commercial deals. And of course, there is always something. It's never, a deal is never it's very seldom to have a triple A. Okay, usually when people because not only I offer that kind of proposals to those institutionals, but I also do due diligence for clients who want to invest. So they want me to check if the deal is good. I will come back to this. And also I get people who ask me, for finance. For instance, I have a big clinic. People are building. So there is the building part, because of course it is still buildings, clinics, plus there will be a few houses for seniors, just to surround the clinics. And so there is a budget of 65 million. So they asked me, can you raise the finance for us? And of course, it starts with a good deal. So we need to work on the deal. Of course, it is also marketing. That's why we are also in marketing. And we need to market this deal properly, and then to raise the finance. So usually people like to invest, to answer your question, like to invest. The AAA is a residential building, like family living there for 20 years, nobody moves. It's cashed every end of the month, and so that's just the top. Usually, they don't like to buy very small buildings, like 2-3 millions is very small. They rather go for like 10 to 50 millions. And or to buy, and that's what I'm doing also now. People want to sell park of real estate. You've got 10 buildings or 20 buildings, and they're selling that for 100 millions or things like this.
Like a portfolio of buildings.
Portfolio, yes. Those institutional buy portfolios or very big buildings. They don't go for for small buildings. So then you have private investors, of course, who like to go for small buildings. So I also have buildings like 3 millions, 5 million, things like this. But now, and that's a trend we have also here. It is more, co-lending and that kind of company. There's this new business model, to collect money from investors and then to go. So that's a good deal. We have some companies who are doing very good in this business, and they are also now looking to purchase residential properties, and so that's why if you have a good residential properties, you can sell it in 5 minutes. It is if you have the good network. It doesn't take time. And when you try to sell a flat, you can go for 20 visits. So I don't go for flats, but you can go for 20 visits, and then people are arguing on the price and things like that. With that, institutionals, whether they like it, whether they don't like it, okay? But you will know it very quickly, and you can do some kind of money quickly. But you need to have the good network to introduce you the deals. To be able to analyze the deal and to see whether it is a good deal or not, because sometimes it looks great, but it's not. And then, of course, if you will also have a clientele. If you produce good deals, they will know it. It's not only about the deal; it's also about something I think it's very important, because I work with young people. When I say young, I mean like 28 years old, 30 years old. And what I noticed, their big weakness is the lack of discipline. And that's something very important. So lack of discipline. If you say, okay, I'll call you back tomorrow at 10 o'clock, you call back tomorrow at 10 o'clock, no matter what, even if
Swiss watch structure.
Yes. And that's, people are still very, they like that. So that's the big difference with me and many others. People know that I am reliable, even if it's to say tomorrow at 10, I don't have any answer, so I will call you back later, But you need, it's like ping pong. And people who don't want to play ping pong rather not go in that kind of business, because you can sabotage yourself very quickly. So that's why also it was important. I have all these years of practice as finance manager, so I had to do the reporting, to the board and things like this. So there is no question, to postpone or no. You have to be ready, and that's the point. And that's why. That's the funny part, because I have one of my clients said, okay, with the COVID, I want to reduce my cost, so I'm not going to do any more this and this and this. And I said, okay, no problem. And I thought, okay, I just have to wait a couple of months, because someone needs to do the job. So, and now he called me back and said, okay, can you do it? So that's because, it's not only to have the good network, to have the good product, but to have the good attitude. And I think that's the key to success, especially when you work with people. When you are selling or investing, let's say selling, flipping real estate, chances are that you will never see again, the people you worked with during this deal. But when you work with high-end clientele on a small market, you need to be, you need to have the right attitude and, yes, to have some processes.
Yeah, and I believe that's the brand that you're building over time. So you have to be, of course, you have to have the right attitude. You have to have a patience as well, right? Because everything takes time. I mean, I remember your stories from different deals. Like you need patience. Sometimes you really need to have patience to build a network, of course, but patience to deliver on the projects that are like 100 million, 150 millions. I believe they don't go like that, right? So they takes time to sell them, takes a lot of different calls and meetings and so on, right?
As I said, I have two very big deals right now. Mm-hmm. And those takes a lot of time because also people don't understand. Sometimes I'm a bit picky with my partners or because I said that I could teach, even my kid, when he was smart. So even when he was very little, he would have understand very quickly what I'm trying to explain sometimes to adults that don't understand. I said, but so I like to go with metaphor, and I say, okay, I will give you a picture. So, and I talk about, sometimes about ladies, sometimes about, things. And I say, okay, I can introduce you to a very nice lady. She's like this, like this, like this, but she has something wrong with the leg, or I don't know, and I say, but she's great, she's beautiful. You need to meet her. But if you say, no, I don't want to go with a lady that has something wrong with the leg, or a man, then I don't need to introduce you this lady or this man. So that's it. So that's why I focus also on the problem. When I have a deal, I say, okay, this is the good part, but be careful because there is just this, for instance, a big tenant that, that cancel is buy in French. We say, he will stop the rentals next year, let's say, he cancel. And I say, okay, so you will need to find a new tenant, and it is like for 10,000 meters square. It is something big. So if you're ready to buy this house and to look after a new tenant for 10,000 meters square, I can introduce you these deals. Because of course, in my business, we work with non-disclosure agreement, NDA, with LOI, letter of intention, and all this. So we have contracts for every step, we use. And so I say, okay, first I need a letter of intention from the potential buyer. Then we will sign up an NDA. And then only if everybody is ready and agree with the deal, including, of course, my commissions, then you will get the dossier and the file and with everything that to do your due diligence. And of course, at the end of the due diligence, you can still say no. But we don't want, our owners don't want to let everybody knows about their house or their building or their selling because it is very confidential. People think, and I think they are right, if everybody knows about the deal and if it is not sold within, a limited time, people will think that there is something wrong and then the price will fall down. Okay, so they don't want, and of course I don't want to be the one, especially when deals between 100 and 650 millions, I don't want to go, on trial to say, okay, I helped this owner to lose 200 millions. So I'm kind of picky with my partners also. I say, okay, we have a procedure and we need to go step by step. And people say, yes, but tell me, it's in Geneva, but where in Geneva or where, and I say, you signed the LOE. Then I ask the owner if we agree, to go with your client, then we will know. Of course, so it is not that much a matter of chance. It is a matter of to have the right process. And then people, I have even people, from Swiss Alemanic or from Swiss German or from very far from Lausanne. they say, okay, if you want to raise 50 million, 100 million, you go to Sigi. If you want to sell a 300 million commercial deal, you go to Sigi. And if you want to, so because at some point, and that's why now I have like a couple of deals almost every day, and some I'm not working on those deals because they are not, some are not worth it. Yes.
Since you're meeting a lot of different ultra high net worth individuals, right? You're meeting billionaires essentially. Can you tell us a bit more about what kind of people are those? Like, what kind of traits do people represent? Like, you meet billionaires, and everybody's like, oh, so how are the billionaires? What are the billionaires like? Especially in terms of the business. You mentioned that they are very like discreet about what they own. What kind of people they are to work with?
Mm-hmm. So here in Switzerland, we have billionaires from all over the place. Mm-hmm. Now it's getting a bit less attractive. Switzerland is getting a bit less attractive, a bit less attractive mm-hmm. because of we have some change with tax. It was very convenient for foreign billionaires to come because they have what we call forfait. Forfait. So that means that okay, they can save some money on tax and okay. But then it was tied also to another clientele that was bank secrets, and now with it's not anymore that secret, I would say. Okay. So and we have since all those things like Lehman Brothers and all these 2008 and things like this, we got very strong with money laundering. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so we have a body, a Swiss body that makes sure that money is, we can keep track of the money, traçable.
Yeah, traceable.
Traceable, and so that means also that we don't get anymore some clients that had a hard time to explain how they raise their money. Okay, so people that are here in Switzerland, I would say they are with clean money. They can clearly explain where it comes from, but a lot of them are still foreigners. Of course, we have also very rich Swiss families. But then they are in the industry, chemical industry, mainly, or real estates, and yes, they grow their money from generations, I would say. Of course, we have some new billionaire, but it is mainly, I think, from generation to generation.
Okay, so like old money, essentially, who invest in Switzerland for the capital growth, or is it also for like just
yes, Switzerland has always been more a capital growth market in real estate because the rent are very high, but since the price, the selling price are very high too, that means that the return on investment is very low. Plus, the tax is not very, let's say, it's quite strong. So especially if you make capital gain. So that's why people, if it is to flip, people usually choose other markets than Swiss markets. But now I think things are a bit changing with typically with those new business model like co-lending. Because now people can invest collectively, and of course it's even better if you are the one who start the business. So we have several, of course, a lot of people trying to start a co-lending business, but it works. So that's a good way to raise money. Now I also have deals, but of course it is for people. It is very large amount of money. Like it's good time to buy a 5-star hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So there are people looking for hotels. Of course, they want to have the good deal.
Mm-hmm.
But we say that almost no one is selling anything, but you can buy everything. So that's right. It might be not hard to understand, but hard to believe. But at the beginning, it was okay. I look for an apartment, and then you you say, okay, how about the house? Just to say something also funny, we have apartment that worth like here between 6 and 11 millions,
Mm-hmm.
just for one apartment, between 6 and 11 millions. Of course, they are amazing. And so I went to see a client, and he said, yes, but it's not possible to buy the whole house. I say, yes, why not?
Just because money.
You mind, you say, okay, wait, 10 millions, it's okay. No, but he said, okay, but why not to put 1 billion? Okay. So, sometimes the perspective, so our mind is the limitation. So that's sometimes things that I face. So you go too little, even if you are talking to about 11 million.
And it's funny when you say that the apartment is worth between 6 and 11 millions. It's like a huge spread, like a huge gap or huge amount, range.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And of course, it's not the regular price, but you can. I have investment, or there are people, for instance, who are buying not one apartment, but they say, okay, I want to take 2 at that price.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes, because we have also some rule with foreign people. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
I have something on my screen. I think it doesn't matter for you. That we have. If you buy residential in Switzerland, you can. It depends, because Switzerland is organized in canton. Mm-hmm. So each canton can have its own rules, but there are of course national rules. But then you can have some specifications. So usually you can have an apartment, but it doesn't have to be, if it is on the mountain, bigger than 240 meters square.
Mm-hmm.
So there are people who don't want to live in a 240 meters square. So they say, okay, we buy 2 of them, and we join them together. So that's what they did. But they need them to have one. Yes, they need to find some way to meet the Swiss requirements, but there are some ways to do it. Yes.
To be creative about it.
Sometimes you need to be creative. Yes.
All right, Guy. So I'd like to wrap up with a question ask you for some advice that you'd give to investors in general, to property investors in general, but also like you're mostly in the sourcing and management business, right? But there are probably certain things that are common between sourcing agents or management or property managers and investors themselves. What kind of piece of advice you could go with for both?
Yes, I think as always you need to understand your strategy, and if you're working for someone else, to understand his strategy. Mm-hmm. And it's not something you really need to pay attention to this. For instance, I have an experience. Mm-hmm. Someone has a house, but this house needs to be refurbished, but it is heavy refurbishment. Huh? Mm-hmm. And he asked me to take care of this, so I did, but I didn't ask too many enough questions. Mm-hmm. And even though this person will never live in this house, it was a mistake for him to buy this house, and he will never live in this house, but he wants to resell it, to mm-hmm. keep it. And I said, okay, so I will take care of this. So that's what I did. And then at the end, so I had an architect and a project, and everything was beautiful. And he said, but I don't want that kind of house. I said, yes, but it's not for you. It is for the next client, you know. So, but he was a kind of, he didn't like, you know, the way I did the things because he said, no, you had to ask me questions. I said, yeah, but we don't want to you know, to build a house that was 2 million because we need to sell it for 6 million.
Yeah.
Okay? So if it looks like a 2 million house, nobody is going to put 6 million. And then, so I answered a few questions. He was upset, and then, but now he's asking me again, you know, to keep selling his house because. But if I had asked more questions, if I had sent him more feedback, you know, maybe I could have avoided that situation. But at the end, it was so to understand the strategy of the client, but also his sensibility. You know, it's very people. You know, we still buy and sell with emotion, but also in network. You know, when you are working, especially with that kind of people, to pay attention to also the emotional part, even though they have large amount of money, they are still human. So and you need to treat them as human being. Then it is to do the right due diligence. Of course, not to jump on a deal just because it looks nice, because there is something wrong somewhere. You need to understand where, and to make sure you can deal with this problem, because there is always a problem somewhere. Sometimes too many problems, and then you forget this deal and you go for the next one. And I think people should be careful also using others people's money. First, that I have friends, so you can borrow money, of course, from family and friends, but then it is a huge responsibility also, because you don't want to let them lose money, especially not on you. And so to be careful with others people's money, and especially now that are like those co-lending business and things like this, where it is a collective gain and collective lose. Yes. So I think yes, and then not to forget regular finance, because you can raise money also from banks and things like this. Sometimes not from the first one, or not from the biggest one. But yes, so don't go for the easy money. Nothing is easy. Everything has a cost, and sometimes a very heavy cost. So that's, I will say, my piece of advice.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Guy. Okay, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, is there any way they can find you?
Yes, so I have my own website, guyfreiburghaus.com. They can contact me through this channel, and then I have other websites, and so guyfreiburghaus.com. Yes,
we'll put a link into this website somewhere in the bottom of this video, or maybe in the description of the podcast episode.
On Facebook also.
And of course on Facebook. It will be everywhere. People will find you.
They will find me, yes. At least I'm not trying to hide myself. I'm not post on every social media.
All right, Guy. Thank you.
That's a good one. That's a good one. You know, when I have some people call me and they say, okay, I have this deal, and say, oh, stop, okay. Do you have a LinkedIn profile? Okay, how can I check, a little bit about yourself? Finance used to be a very confidential business. It is still a very confidential business, but people like to understand who they are working with. So if you have a nice LinkedIn profile, if you can, it will help. Because when I have a phone call and they say, okay, it is company XYZ, and I say, okay, and who are you? Okay, can I find you on LinkedIn? No. I say, okay, so that's the end of the call, because nobody wants to work, with a phone number, just.
No, of course.
Okay, so
of course, I think we live in a very interesting era now that everything is so transparent and everyone is traceable. Everyone is trackable. You can find information on anyone. And especially in business, like if you build a strong brand, you can go up very fast. You can network pretty fast, but also if you screw things up, obviously people will find out very quickly. So it's super important to be transparent on your social media profiles, and also build this good brand. Essentially, picture yourself as a.
it is branding, because you are branding yourself, and people will the first, we say the first impression. You never get a second chance. So if your LinkedIn profile or your website is creepy, so that's that can be an issue for your success. Yes, absolutely.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you very much, Guy. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us in this episode, and all our episode listeners. Please join us, subscribe to our channel, and start listening to our podcast if it was the first one that you've been listening to. All right. Thank you very much. Speak soon.
Bye-bye. See you.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thank you for today's episode. Thank you for listening. I think it was a very insightful episode. We looked into the billionaires world, right? It's always exciting to look into how people who are much more experienced and much more wealthy do it, because they take much higher risks. So they, of course, must be much more careful. And if we can take those lessons and apply it to our projects, of course, our project will get much safer, but also they'll be more exciting, I think, right? So there are plenty of strategies that even if we don't have the direct access to, we can take some part of it, take some lessons from them, and apply it on our current strategy. We also looked at strategies that are, even if they are not maybe available for us directly, that those are the strategies that we can look into maybe a bit further down the road. So I think it was a very good, very interesting episode. Thank you for listening. And also, I'd like to invite you already now to our next week's episode, when we'll be hosting Marcus de Maria. Marcus de Maria is a very experienced investor in properties, in stocks, but also in cryptocurrencies. So he'll look at different aspects of investing and trying to apply different strategies and successful strategies into property investing. So he shares some insights, his own experience from many years of investing in properties, but also, as I said, look a bit wider and apply different lessons to properties. I think that'd be very good episode. So that's next week. And meanwhile, I also like to invite you to our MomentumInvestingPodcast.com website. In the website, you can actually record a message to us. So you can record a full message on the website, and you can ask a question, for instance. And if you ask the question and you can record this question, it's going to be sent to us directly, and we will air your question online. So we'll actually ask your question in the episode, which will be, I think, super cool for you to join our episode, but also that's going to show other people, encourage other people to ask questions from our audience. We'd like to get more questions from the audience. Another thing, I'd like to invite you for subscribing to our channel if you haven't done it already. Whatever channel you're using, whether it's YouTube or Spotify or iTunes or whatever tool or channel of podcasts you're using, please hit the subscribe button, and we'll receive notifications about our new coming episodes. And we have a very, very interesting guest coming in. I can't really say who it is, but one of the next episodes will be super, super exciting. And lastly, I'd like to invite you to our MomentumGift.com website, where we have a free webinar where we're going to share all the, I think, most important aspects of property investing. So we managed to gather three simple steps, but the most important steps in order to start investing in properties, but also three most important mistakes that many people do and how to avoid them. So if you're really interested in stepping into the property world, go to momentumgift.com and subscribe to our free webinar. That's all for me now. Thank you very much for this episode, and see you next week.